Hello everyone, it's Kristen Redman, and today we're going to go over the planetary aspects that are surrounding us and affecting us for this upcoming week of October 23rd through the 29th. And this week, a lot of the focus is on the sign of Scorpio. We are feeling the waters, the deep, deep feeling waters of Scorpio very much lately, and especially over the past year as we deal with a lot of transitions that were initiated back in 2016. And as the sun is transiting into Scorpio today on the 23rd, it shines its light, it shines its rays into this sign, and it focuses on the healing that has to occur from the losses that we've encountered over the past year. It's been quite a year for that, and for those of you who haven't followed my videos in the past, 2016 was a year of endings. There was a lot of events that happened for folks in various ways, whether it be a job or a relationship or the loss of somebody that they love because of death. There's a lot of things that happened in 2016 that created endings, created change, created transformation in our lives. And this is the year where the scales become balanced because of those changes. Some of those changes were thrust upon us unexpectedly and in such a grand, huge scale that we really weren't anticipating, thanks to the planet of Jupiter, the planet that expands things. Now, where Jupiter may blow something up and make it a gigantic deal at first, ultimately what it's doing is trying to push us out of our boundaries, our limitations that we set ourselves in, and it's trying to push us to go for something greater, something that works for our soul better now than where it was before. Our soul evolves, and we have this special purpose that we have in this lifetime that we're meant to fulfill. And this is the year where, thanks to the Leo eclipses, we're really getting into fulfilling our life purpose. But for all new beginnings, that's what eclipses do, they bring new beginnings, but for all these new beginnings to occur to help us to be happier, to live in our full purpose, to have more fun, those kinds of things, in order for those new beginnings to happen, there has to be an ending. Something has to change. The old has to die in order to rebirth the new. And that's exactly what the sign of Scorpio represents. Scorpio is ruled by the planet Pluto, the planet of death, the planet of transformations that result from the endings and from the cycles that have reached their natural completion in our life. Scorpio is the transformation that happens after the loss. It's where the phoenix rises from the ashes and where we start new and fresh. Now, that's the positive side to Scorpio. And of course, now that the sun's going through that, it's going to really shine a light on all those aspects. From the grief that we encountered through the losses that happened in the past year. Yeah. Hold on one moment. Oh boy. Oh boy. Go a little quicker right now. I'm doing my video. Okay. Sorry. Okay, that's great. The fun things that happen with slime. I tell you what. Thank you. Onwards, please. Thank you. Scorpio. As the sun transits into that sign, it shines a light on those losses that we've encountered. It brings to focus the grief that we are encountering. And it reminds us that through these deep feeling waters of Scorpio, that this is the place where we heal those wounds. This is where we come to terms with those losses and where we're ready to move forward into the future. Now, as the sun transits through that sign of Scorpio, we all feel those things. We all are very aware of the transformations and changes and losses and things that we're leaving behind. Very hyper aware of those things. But another thing, too, is that it helps us get in better touch with our emotions. Anytime the sun goes through a water sign such as Pisces, Cancer, or our good friend here, Scorpio, when it does so, we all become a little bit more emotional. We all are able to go inward and express those feelings a little bit better than we would anytime normally. The sun tells us that it's therapeutic to do so. Scorpio and its ruling planet Pluto rules psychology. They represent that in the 8th house, the deep mind, the subconscious mind, and purging of the things that we no longer need in there so that way we can be a little bit more happier in this lifetime now. So as the sun goes through that sign of Scorpio, you may be finding that yourself, you need to speak with a therapist, speak with a counselor, speak with an astrologer like myself to better understand yourself and the path that you're going on. Now, some of the shadow side, though, as the sun goes through Scorpio, is that because Scorpio feels so deeply and it's so intense, it's such an intense sign. It's very passionate. It represents the darker areas in our life where we don't necessarily want to tread, those taboo subjects that we don't necessarily talk about. So, of course, death falls in that. People don't want to talk about death a lot. It covers that. But it also covers debt, too. The sun is shining a light on our debts. The sun is shining a light on our partner's income. The sun is shining a light on where we owe our money to and who we owe it to and how to better take care of them. But another thing, too, that Scorpio deals with, because it deals with the shared resources, the sharing of ourself, the sharing of our physical resources that we have with another. It's also of the physical body. So Scorpio rules intimacy of all kinds, but especially sexuality. Now, that's a taboo subject, too, that a lot of people don't want to talk about, and it makes them uncomfortable. But ultimately, that also is an aspect to humanity where we share of ourselves with others, we unite in the spirit, and we are closer to God in the process with that, too. But we have to share that with someone else in order to make that connection occur with the Lord. So, geez, oh, Pete's almighty. I tell you what, Scorpio has a lot of facets to it. It's a very complex sign in itself, and it carries with it a lot of interesting, dark, hidden corners. Scorpio is the detective of the zodiac as well. So you'll be finding that as Scorpio is in the skies, that you may need to dig deeper and be a detective of yourself into finding the truth of the matter as well. So all these things, they come to light, right? We focus on that, but we look at the shadow side as well. We see all the positive things and the wonderful areas where it's trying to transform us and help us move forward. But there's also a shadow side to it. Because it's so intense, it is known to be a little bit obsessive. It's a little bit possessive. So we, too, will carry that energy as well over the next 4 weeks. So just make sure you're not overly possessive or jealous, because jealousy comes to light with that as well, too. And we become aware of our controlling issues as well that happen as a result, because Pluto is such a controlling little planet, and it's a lot of power struggles that result as well. Okay, so just make sure that intense feeling of emotion that you're coming from, make sure it's not out of jealousy, because we lash out in horrible rage when that happens as well. So the sun's shining light on that. But now, one of the things that Scorpio Sun is doing this week is a one-time alignment with that planet that expands us, Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of luck. Jupiter is the planet of optimism. Jupiter is the planet of hope. So Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. My Sagittarian friends, this week I do believe if you're ready to leave some things in the past, if you're ready to leave some old habits in the past, if you're ready to leave some old grief, if you're ready to leave things behind, this is going to be the week where it's really good for you to do so, because you have that Scorpio Sun that's ready to release these things and bring in wonderful new things for you and transform things for you, as long as you're willing to let go of that. And then you've got Jupiter, your ruling planet. This is good for all of us, but especially for the Sagittarian folks out there, and of course our Scorpio friends as well too. But we got Jupiter out there, and what it does is it wants to push us outside of those boundaries, right? It wants to bring us luck. It wants to bring us opportunity. And as a result, we have increased faith and hope and optimism. And that's exactly what happens is the sun, which is our energy and our essence, aligns with that Jupiter, which is that planet of hope and faith. So when they align together, this is a time where everybody's going to be feeling really, really good towards the end of the week when this happens on Thursday. Everybody has an increase of that. We want to grow the self. We want to better the self. We want to move forward, and we want to move on. Our Sagittarian and Scorpio friends are going to be feeling this the most. When I say that, I mean if you have your sun, your moon, or ascendant in any of those signs, you're going to be feeling it really, really strong. Or if it's a chart ruler for you, of course, the sun or Jupiter also is going to be huge for you as well. So, whoa, I'm losing my stone here. I got it. Okay, so that's what the sun is going to be doing out there this week. So optimism is high. And another thing, too, that happens this week in terms of those endings, because remember, Pluto was that ruling planet for Scorpio. Pluto is going to be making a connection with the planet Venus. This is affecting our Libra friends and, of course, our Scorpio friends. So this is quite a week for the Scorpio influence out there. Now, this is the third time this type of tough aspect has happened between these two planets this year. This is the last time it happens this year as well. Now, when Venus, the planet of love and money, squares off with the planet of endings, you can put 2 and 2 together and see that it creates an energy in the air where there are power struggles that can result because of our money, because of our love, because of our relationships, right? And if endings need to occur, or if cycles need to change, if things need to shift and change, this is that time frame when it gets pushed to the surface, especially because the sun is transiting Scorpio too, really trying to bring endings to these things that just don't work anymore. But on the shadow side, this is when that possessiveness and jealousy and secretivism and what's that word I'm looking for? When you're like super suspicious. Suspicion, that's the word I'm looking for apparently, that suspicion runs a little bit higher than normal because these two planets are squaring off and they create that underlying feeling within us. So just watch out for that as well this week. But one of the other wonderful things that we have happening is that Mercury, the planet of the mind, is going to be making a harmonious, we got a good connection this time though, with the planet of Neptune. And that is going to increase our dream state. We're going to be getting messages a little bit clearer. When the planet of the mind aligns with the planet of spirituality, Neptune, this is a great time to get in contact with those spiritual guides that are around us. This is a powerful week for that. It's been a powerful year for it, but especially because we have that sun in Scorpio that deals with metaphysical and darker areas, and of course the psychological mind as well. When we have that planet aligning with that spiritual planet of Neptune, the planet that is focused on our direct connection with the divine essence of God, with our beliefs, our own special personal beliefs in spirituality, and how much we're in touch with them, and how much we dream for the future, how big we dream for ourselves, what type of things we manifest out into the universe. Those things come to light and come to mind on Tuesday, on the 24th. This is also a heightened time for creativity because Neptune is a planet of creativity. So if you are working in the arts or you have a very creative career where you need to have great, brilliant ideas or flashes of insight, this is going to be a week that works behind you to have that happen. So that's everything that's happening out there in the skies this week. Now we'll do a reading to kind of pull it all together and go from there. So usually what I do is I pull a stone, right? And this week, though, was a little bit different. Instead of me pulling a stone out of my box here, I was told beforehand that I needed to grab an obsidian. And for some reason, I could not find my gigantic obsidian anywhere around here. But I did find, and I think it was just God's way of leading me to this to remind us all of the light and dark within each one of us, is a snowflake obsidian. Now, obsidian is the most protective of all the stones. Anytime you have a black stone, it's going to be especially protective of your psychic energy, of your electromagnetic field. It's going to cleanse and clear it, kind of like when you think of charcoal, right? It detoxifies and it pulls away those toxins just we don't need anymore. And these black stones carry that same energy. If you don't have an obsidian, no big deal. Go for a walk outside on such a beautiful day like this that God has made, huh? Here it is in Michigan. It's almost 80 degrees at the end of October. Who knew, you know? But God makes it for a reason. Maybe He's pushing us all to go outside, to go for a walk. Look at all the beautiful things that He's given us in nature to surround ourselves with and ground us, especially a black stone. Look for a black stone. Not only will it ground you, but it's also going to keep you protected as well. Now, a snowflake obsidian has little tiny white flecks in it that look like snow, and of course it's all blurry and you can't see it. But now what that represents is that light that's inside of us in the darkness, the hope in the darkest of the times. And this is one of those weeks where the two come together, our faith and our hope and our optimism in the darkest of the times. That's exactly what that Sun and Jupiter aligning, and this once a year alignment is going to be this week. When we hope and we pray and we know like we know that God is going to pull through for us and bring us what we're hoping for, it comes through. It does. And we have to keep that hope and faith, that little tiny piece of light when all that darkness surrounds us, right? That really comes to light this week. Maybe this is a week when it pays off for some of us too, right? It's all in the divine timing about what God says. So anyway, long and short of it, he wanted me to pull that this week, reminding us of our dark and light aspects that each one of us also carry as well, that we can't always be perfect and we can't beat ourselves up, right? We can't. We're human. We're on this path. We're here to do what we need to do. We're here to make mistakes as well, right? That's another part of it as well too. And also to balance our knowing with doing, right? Male and female polarities, knowing what we need to do and acting on it, making it happen. So let's this week ask for our guardians here to bring us a message. What do you want us to keep in mind this week moving forward? It's a beautiful week with such a beautiful alignment of that super optimistic Jupiter and the beautiful transformative Sun. What do you want us to keep in mind? What is the message for them? Oh, well, that's not it. That ain't it. I'm going to keep on shuffling because I feel like I needed to go one more and I stopped myself earlier. Okay. Two more times. That's what I feel. Or one more. I lied. Hey, okay. I like this one. I like this one because we got some stuff going on too with Venus out there in the sky, which has to deal with money as well, right? The Five of Earth is a card that deals with our fears that surround money, our unnecessary worry that lands in those, and that in uncertain self-employment. So obviously we got somebody out there that's a self-employed person, somebody that puts a lot of focus and stock into their gifts and their talents to bring in the money that they have. Now this is a card that reminds us that we have to have that wisdom to reach out to others in those times when we need that help, because we can't do everything on our own. We have to know when to reach out. And that a lot of times what happens is when we do that, when we just open up to the universe and say, I do need help, he's going to bring people on our paths. And we have to be wise enough to recognize that when they extend that olive branch, when they extend that hand to help us, we got to reach out and we got to help. Whether it's through advice, whether it's just to talk, whether it's to give you a client or a lead or whatever it is, this is a card that reminds us that it's okay as long as you have that faith, just like I was saying earlier, that as long as you're following what your soul is telling you to do, that those fears are unfounded. All right? Interesting card here. That it's a card of charity, really, is what it is. In the tarot deck, the normal tarot deck. This one is a tarot deck that's angel based, but it really indicates that somebody's trying to reach out and help you. So just keep an eye out for who that may be. Okay. Let's pull another card with that too, just to get a little bit more information. One more. Fears surrounding money and that self-employment. What's a one-word phrase here? Guardian angel. I just feel like it's a guardian angel that's around. Not necessarily one of the archangels this week. It's just our archangel or our personal guardian angels that are helping us this week, kind of removing those fears and reminding us of the power that our mind does in manifesting what we want. I'm going to ask them for that, for this person that's having that uncertain self-employment, or that person that's watching that has an extreme amount of fear surrounding their money. What's one word you need to tell us to help us understand a little bit better in this week? One more. Instinct. Isn't this great? I love it too, because there's a full moon here that reminds us, coming into the full moon that's going to be next week, that you'll start to see even more progress in terms of this shifting and changing. Following your instincts. following that spiritual network that's around you and what your gut is telling you to do. If your gut is telling you keep with it, I know this is the best thing for my soul. If this year has been telling you, I need to be self-employed, I need to do this myself. If you've been receiving repetitive messages that say, yes, this is my goal, this is my aspiration, this is what I'm here to do, and the time is now, keep going with that. Keep going with that. But on the other side, if you are constantly feeling, and this isn't the ego talking, this is just a repetitive message or signs that keep coming that are keeping you from doing what you're supposed to do, if your body won't keep up, if the money ain't coming, if you're constantly getting derailed, if things are constantly delayed, listen to what the universe is saying through that too. Maybe it's time to look elsewhere. Open up and listen this week, because regardless if it's our spiritual network that's coming through, because remember, this is a really strong week for them to talk to you through your dreams, and through, all of us are going to have heightened intuition this week as well. Even if it's not the spiritual network, there's going to be a physical person that comes in to step in and lend a helping hand. So just keep an eye out for that, because no matter what, God is ready there to help us, guide us in this wonderful life. So everybody enjoy this beautiful Scorpio sun out there today, and have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.